Good evening, wherever you're joining from. This is the masterclass for the month of April, hosted by RCB. You're aware by now, if you've followed month in, month out since 2024, that we serve a masterclass online program every last Saturday of the month. What's the intention? After running with a theme for the entire month, we culminate with a masterclass that delves in a bit more into what the theme for the month is. And if you know, April has been our corporate culture month. What does that mean? This month, we're talking about corporate culture, everything you need to know, all the basics. So if you followed Mind Your Character every Friday, since the very first Friday in the month of April, you would have come across the show talking points around corporate culture, from what it is to what it is not, to how to know whether you have one in your organization. So what you need to know about it being deliberate or being default, like whether it is implied or intentionally articulated. And we've gone ahead to talk about benefits. We've gone ahead to talk about telltale signs that your corporate culture may be like. I've also done a few write-ups on my Facebook wall, Bosede Olushola Obasa, and as well as RCB has served you several designs for communicating to you so much about culture. We have done some games around it also and some exercises. So should you have in any way missed out on any of them, please catch up with this value adding content on RCV, whether Instagram or Facebook. You can as well do Mind Your Character with Bosede Olushola Obasa on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And for my Facebook wall and my Instagram, talking about Bosede, that's my private page and my private account. You can as well enjoy absolute value. When it comes to RCB, you are certain that what you're getting is value addition back to back to back to back. Do I like to say? And that's just what it is. That's the culture that pervades our atmosphere in the workplace. It is what runs our DNA as team members of this organization. We look out for value addition in whatsoever we do, in addition to several other values that we uphold. Today, I'm going to do something very, very detailed. And I'm going to begin with, okay, so let's say that I've done a rundown of what you had this month already. So let's go right into what we've got today. I have like three sections of this, and we'll take it one after the other. If you do have questions, I have back end um, tool that will help me know if there's a question right there for me. And we would absolutely like to have feedback from you if you are finding our tips useful. What was so much appreciated, particularly if you're watching us via YouTube. If you tell someone to tell someone to tell someone about RCB, about Mind Your Character Talk Show, about Bosede Olushola Obasa, your anchor across board. That will be so exciting and so rewarding for us. You can also subscribe if you haven't, like all and every of our content that appeal to you or meet your needs for time. And then don't forget to follow us across all our social media handles. I hope to do these reminders again towards the end of the class today. It's a master class, and that means that I'm going to take my time to go one step after another in helping you see how much you stand to gain from intentionally entrenching corporate culture in your organization. What benefits it has for your business, what benefits it has for your team, what benefits it has for your customers, and every stakeholder in your value chain. That will be how we will roll today. I also hope to be able to bring you up to speed with some statistics that just nails it, that puts nail to the fact that this is very, very important for you. So, welcome to the class today that we have carefully captioned facts every entrepreneur should know about creating corporate culture. So, what are those facts that you need to know about creating corporate culture? I'm going to begin from the basics. And that means that I want to do an icebreaker. I have an icebreaker punchline to put out there. Call it an intro if you like. And that's this. Listen, if I visit your organization for the first time and I spend 1 hour, my first 1 hour, because of what I do and how important corporate culture is to me and how much of interest I've taken in it in a long time, I can tell you a few facts. I want my music to be slightly lower. I need to be sure it is not in the way of you hearing it clearly. All right. But you know, if you follow the Mind Your Character, you know I love that music so much. I call it my energy music. Good. So back to what I was saying. The icebreaker comment for me is that I can pick a few signs, a few corporate culture signs within 1 hour. I, what's the Olusola Obasa, can pick a few corporate culture signs within my first hour of a visit to your office premises. Yes. If a company's culture pervades that atmosphere, good or bad, I can tell to a large extent. But wait, if I now have to relate with your organization for slightly longer period than that, say maybe I have reasons to come in now and then for like 1 month or slightly more than 1 month, then I can see more. I can tell because corporate culture speaks louder than words to the stakeholders of your business. If you are with a pen, and I think you should be with one in this class, please put down the fact that corporate culture speaks louder than words to the stakeholders of your business. There are things you aren't saying yet, but the culture in your environment is already saying. That is how real, integral, and effective corporate culture is. I think that the trouble that a lot of people have understanding the power of corporate culture is in the fact that it feels like intangible. I use the word feels with all sense of responsibility, but of course you cannot hold culture. You cannot handle culture. It is not touchable or takeable, but it finds expression in ways that can touch you, touch your business, touch the people in your business, touch the profit of your organization, touch the longevity of your organization. So the next time you are getting carried away by not knowing how important culture is, I want to ask you to just hold on and be part of this class. And then you will never take culture for granted again, not one extra day. I promise you. It's intangible. It can't be handled. It can't be touched, but it touches your business. It touches the people of your business in several tangible ways that could mean so much. So I asked you to put down, if you don't mind, the fact that corporate culture speaks louder than words to the stakeholders of your business. Still around my ice-breaking comment, I'd like you to know that culture reflects in your dress code. So if I tell you that if I come into your organization and I've stayed 1 hour I can tell what kind of culture pervades your company environment or atmosphere. If I tell you that if I stay for slightly longer than that, I can tell a little more. That's because culture speaks. How or what are the ways that culture speaks? What are the few ways that culture speaks? I can tell you, culture speaks in dress. You know, a lot of the times people just see that other organizations talk about dress code, wear this on this day, wear that on the other day, wear this on the other day. Oh, business formal for Monday, business casual for Tuesday, depending on the kind of area of business and all of that. However, a lot of people do not know that this has a meaning towards telling us something about the culture of your organization. Your dress code, your business hours, your business hours, your business hours, behavior of people in your organization, and all of that tell me a lot about your corporate culture. Even your office setup, the way you set up your office, your employee benefits package tells me a lot about your culture. Your turnover, whether in persons or in financial terms, tells me a lot about your corporate culture. More from things that can be readily seen immediately, from things that will take just a little while to see. The decisions of the organization they are made tells me about your corporate culture. The treatment that you make to your employees and clients, how you handle employees, tells me something about your corporate culture. How you satisfy your client or how you value client satisfaction tells me something about your corporate culture. And every aspect of your operations definitely tells me something about your corporate culture. One of the reasons why we're running this series is so that we can activate your mind in terms of reminders, helping you see that you cannot run too far in this journey of being a business person and entrepreneur without paying the requisite attention that you need to corporate culture creation, integration, and sustenance. And finally, in this section of my intro, I would add that generally speaking, corporate culture represents the core values of a company's ideology. What is core in your ideology and what is core in your practice? The core of your ideology as an organization, your essence, and the core things, things that are core to your ideology, things that are core in your practices, things that are core in your essence as a going concern, as a legal entity, as an organization, as a company, as a corporation, as an institution, and just name it. All of that make up your culture, corporate culture content. So I have helped you see in my intro that I and a lot of other people, without you knowing, can tell that there's something about this team. There's something about this team that makes it stand out or makes it different from so many others. Definition. Let's try to do some definitions. Definition of corporate culture. I'll pick a few of them. I've had to tell some of them in some of my sessions that I've had this month already, but I totally want you to pay attention to the keywords. Pay attention to the keywords in the two definitions I'm going to share. You could also go ahead to check up more and more and more definitions or explanations for corporate culture. I don't want to take anything for granted because I believe that a few people might be coming across our corporate culture content this morning for the first time through this video. So let us do the basic and tidy them up before we go into the facts that every entrepreneur, Whether you're a startup, whether you head a startup or you head a multinational, you head a conglomerate, or you head whatever you want, this is going to be important. So let's see one or two definitions. And the first one says, that's by Evan Tava. Evan Tava says, corporate culture refers to the values, beliefs, behaviors that determine how a company's employees and management interact, perform, and handle business transactions. Now that's quite mouthful, but I'm going to break it down. Evan Tava, by all means an authority when it comes to corporate culture, says corporate culture refers to values. So values, that's important. Values, you have beliefs, you have behavior. So initially I had behavior here, right? And now we have values. All of these words will continue to come up and we interact with them when we talk about corporate culture. So beliefs, now beliefs, just like in a religion, when you have a belief, you have faith, you have a belief in something, you have faith in something. So belief, values, okay, away from this, let me remove this one because it has no direct bearing with the point that I am in as far as the class is concerned. Same for this, yeah. We are looking at a few definitions, two in particular for corporate culture. So I have beliefs, I have values, I have behaviors, I have beliefs, values, and behaviors that determine how. So your culture is your how. Many of the times when I go training on corporate culture, I tell people that corporate culture isn't just your what, it is your how that borrows life from your why. Your corporate culture is your how that it's not just your what, pardon me, it's not just your what, it is your how that borrows life from your why. So your why is the very reason to why you came into business, why you're an entrepreneur, why you have built an organization, why you have put together. Why? Your why feeds your how. So the reason why you are in feeds how you want to be differently. So you hear some people say that I'm coming into this business because I want to create a disruption. They talk about creating disruptions, they talk about doing it differently. We want to do it differently. We want to do something that no one has done before. We want to create solutions where no one has created solutions before. Like that, like that, like that. But that said, it's important for us to realize that corporate culture is your, is not just your what, it is your why that borrows life from your how. It is your how, pardon me, that borrows life from your why. So as we move on, in this definition, we're trying to unbundle it. It's a master class, so we'll take our time to unbundle many of these things. This I will not be able to do, for instance, if it was on a Mind Your Character show on a Friday, because that's a talk show. We just pick what is essential and we move on interacting with our audience. Today it's a class, and if you're following me, I want you to take particular note of the word values. Do you have concrete values? Beliefs. Do you have concrete beliefs? Are there things that the way of thinking or mindset in your organization? Behaviors. Is there a way that you react to respond to things or receive things? If there's a stimulus from outside or something from within, how do you interact or relate with it? Your behavior. So behaviors have never had to do only with you. They also have to do with conflict. Corporate culture refers to the values, the beliefs, and behaviors that determine. So the word determine is when I said your how pouring life from your body. They determine how. So your culture is always about your how. It determines how your company's employees, management, and owners interact, respond, perform, and handle business transactions. And everything, of course, that has to do with the business. Let me take a second definition and we'll attempt to delve deeper into our conversation today. I truly hope that you're finding value already. If you're joining this at this point in the training, please do well to catch up with what you have missed because every part of it is crucial to your full understanding. If you do not pick those, you may have forgotten to pick certain things that can serve as foundation for you. All right. Don't forget that this is being sponsored by RCB. Yes, that's the Social Capital Development and Management Company with vested interest in social capital asset development. We help you capitalize and recapitalize on your social capital assets. We would say fondly that every other form of capital that you have, be financial, be intellectual, be human, and emotional, just add it all up. They are at the mercy of your social capital content. So the need for you, even though they are not visible or tangible or tangible, to continue to pay attention to the intangible assets of your organization has become more crucial now than at any other time in history, particularly in doing business. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching, or you're an employee or team member to an entrepreneurial organization or venture, you will do well to ensure that you come this video and that they call RCB to help them get the journey started. Because there's definitely how to creating your corporate culture. My second definition is from isaglobal.com. So global.com says healthy, and I like the classification, brings a qualifier that is an adjective that qualifies the noun corporate culture. Meaning that, anyway, I don't want to boss what I have just ahead. Let me take his definition, and that will be good for now. Healthy corporate culture is defined as one in which the corporate values, the word values are shown up again. Wow, it means that this is so important and integral to creating corporate culture. Healthy corporate culture is defined as one in which the corporate values and behaviors, are shown up again. Oh, it means that they are very, 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 very intrinsic when it comes to the matter of corporate culture. So, it is one in which the corporate values and behaviors of an organization is consistently lived across its entire fabric. It is consistent. So I'm going to put the word down, consistent. Consistent. This is very important. Consistent. Is it a culture? Is it a culture? It is just how we do the culture, not consistent. Just how is it a culture? Because follows a pattern. Culture follows a rhythm. Culture follows a theme. Culture follows a way that things are done. So it is not and may not be a culture until or and except if it is consistent. Okay, so that looks like I have told you one of the facts I would like to release. It's gradually looking like I've told you one of the facts that I would like to release. Okay, and so let's go on in what we've got today. I was at the point where I told you that consistently is a crucial word to note when it comes to what we're discussing today, talking about corporate culture. Consistently, so important. And I alluded to the fact that if it is not consistent, if it is not company-wide, If it is not a theme, because culture provides a theme, culture provides rhythm, culture provides pattern, culture provides how, on a consistent basis. If it's not consistent, it may not be safe to call it a culture. Sometimes you've been to the hospital and the doctor checks, the nurses have taken your vitals and they found out that your BP measurement is high. And then when you get to the doctor, particularly if it's a first time sign of such, he says something like this most of the time. Okay, it's not possible for me to decide that you have high blood pressure just based on this one time experience. Take this medicine or do this or that to help you bring it down. If you do not experience a change, then get back to me. It could also add something like, could you please ensure that you take these readings every week to see the difference you are making positively? If on a consistent basis, the word consistent, if on a consistent basis, you find out that your blood pressure measurement or reading is high, then the medical doctor begins to query certain things and begins to take you on a journey that should help you recover your health. Of course, nobody ever takes any high or unusual numbers for likely as far as that is concerned. Why did I take the route of that story? I'm saying that if something happens only once in a while in the organization, it is not your culture. If it's culture, it's not only going to be intrinsic, integrated, or internalized, it will be the norms. So, what are the things that you should mind? I have a statistics here, and I'll just put it out there. Then we go to the main section. Because by that last point that I gave you, I already told you one of the things that business owners must mind, must know about the importance of creating a corporate culture. I have said it that it is not culture to the organization if it's an happenstance. Happenstances are not cultural. They cannot be said to be a pattern. They cannot be said to be a way of life. They cannot be said to be said to share values. They cannot be said to be consistent. So I found it's a global.com definition interesting on the use of the word consistent, because I cannot agree less with the fact that it's not culture. For instance, it's cultural for me to look simple, but always tidy and look good. How am I able to say that it's culture for me? Because it follows a pattern. I probably have built systems around what makes it so. It's important to understand that it is not culture to you, business owner. You cannot tell me that this is our culture if it's something that only one person in the entire team does, or if it's something that everybody in the organization cannot even say that they know about. Okay, so we'll come to all of that, and you would be going home today, the way they say when you attend conferences, with your box or kitty full of substance about the importance of public culture and how and why you cannot take it for granted. If you want an organization that will not just succeed, but will enjoy stability and enjoy sustainability. If you've seen our payoff line at RCV, you see brand trust leading to business success, stability, and sustainability. That's the kind of partnership that RCV brings to your organization when you bring us on board. We are noted for activating corporate culture in organizations and supervising the journey for as much as the client would want us to. At the end of the day, it's our joy to be able to say that we have been able to re-engineer the entire system where there's a need for it and activate an atmosphere that makes doing business more comfortable for everyone and more profitable for everyone. Now, one statistics here, and then we'll go into the main section of the day. This statistic is a research result by Dennison Consulting. Research by Dennison Consulting says companies with a healthy corporate culture have, wait for it, companies with a healthy, always the emphasis on healthy, you find out why it's important where they're using this qualifiers short. Companies with a healthy corporate culture have who you want to say 72%. Wow, wow. 72% higher employee engagement rating than those that don't. I take that again. This is really exciting for me. This is really exciting for me. And as an entrepreneur who has always been in the works, not just helping other companies do this, but making it the lifestyle in our organization, I'm excited to find out that we are not doing something that has nothing to do. Caring about our corporate culture has for us as LCB, has for your organization a whooping 72% higher employee engagement rating than those that don't. Isn't this a good place to make a choice? But you see, whatever I just told you now is just one out of the various expressions, one of the ratings that shows you the various expressions of profitability, benefits, and importance times to having and activating a healthy corporate culture. I need that to sink in, like, let it sink in. And just as that is getting done, let's attempt to move into the main session. The topic for today's class has been captioned as facts. And in fact, as a point, I added critical to my note. So on the flyer, you have facts, but I added critical. So on my note here, I have critical facts that every entrepreneur or entrepreneur should know about creating corporate culture. And today, my emphasis will be on encouraging you and calling you up to that platform to have not just culture, but healthy culture. All right, let's see how far we can go within the time that we have. Uh, so take it that the first point that you need to know is that if it is not consistent, it is not your culture. You can live your entire life as an entrepreneur, business leader, board member, founder, line manager, what other leadership or managerial category or cadre you may be able to call it. Matter of semantics. I'm just saying business leader. No matter for how long you run the business, it is possible to live in the assumption that you have a culture that is working for your organization. But if it is not consistent, it is not your culture. If it is not consistent, it is not your culture. So we go on now to the next point. So the first point is around consistency. What I want you to do as you follow this class is to think about the word consistent. But before you think too far about consistent as a word, as a trait, I want you to listen to the next point, another fact that you need to know. If business profitability, stability, and sustainability is important to you. Number two, corporate culture can be default throughout the years of the organization. It can be as viewed throughout the years of the organization. However, it should rather be intentionally created and deliberately sustained. Your corporate culture should rather be intentionally created. So that's the flip side of what I mentioned earlier. One of the facts you need to know is there is a need calling on you for you to intentionally create, deliberately sustain a healthy corporate culture. A healthy corporate culture. Next point, if that seems clear enough, intentionality speaks to deliberateness. So that point where you come to the table either at the beginning, somewhere in between the journey or life of the organization before it gets too late. So it should be intentionally created and deliberately sustained. The next point for me to tell you is the fact that corporate culture is best activated from the beginning of the life of a business. Corporate culture is best activated at the beginning of the life of a business. So I work with a number of CEOs on their businesses as a development partner in this area and a lot more. I do a lot of team member best practices activation. I do a lot around corporate culture. I do a lot with my team around sustainable or success, result-driven customer service. And in doing all of this, I do it also around leadership that is sustainable, reputation. So we do all of that with our corporate clients. I've been speaking to many of the CEOs, a lot of them having businesses that are reaching the year 5 and trying to cross into the other 5. You find out that a lot of them are only able to begin to think about structure, which has culture as an integral part of it, when the company has or can be said to have enjoyed some level of business stability. Well, that can be understood. It cannot totally take away the importance of making corporate culture a part of your setting up when starting a business. It is best at that point. So what's the relief that I will offer? The relief I'll offer is if you didn't know so much about it, you didn't know how to go about it, or you could not make it an item at the beginning of your business, then from the point where you find out about the importance of corporate culture, for instance, some people are finding out that importance from this video, that's a good time to get calling RCB at 081 061 2081 081 061 2081 to get us to speak to you and lead you or guide you in the journey. So it is best, one other fact that I said is, it is best activated, initiated, created at the beginning of the life of the business. But that doesn't say that you can't do it at any other time. Hopefully, you are not trying to start making culture an item when you already have issues owing to lack of culture. That means you first try to make what has been made, and then you will now try to make what should be made. The cost is going to be more. The energy dissipation is going to be more. The delay or drag or lag is going to create in your business is definitely going to be more. So you are better on the side of being intentional and deliberate about it from the beginning. I will advise. It's fact that every entrepreneur should know about creating a healthy corporate culture that will grow your business and keep it alive is wrong. Whether you are deliberately creating culture or not, there is a culture running your company currently. Whether you are deliberately creating culture or not. So let's say that you decide not to turn positive hearing to my advice about the need to be deliberate to announce to you that there is a culture running your company currently. I use the word running with all sense of responsibility because what culture does to your business is to run the business. If it gets enough numbers, so if the current culture in your organization is unhealthy, for instance, and it's able to get enough numbers that is buy-in from the human, the persons, the population, the team, the employees, the leaders, the manager, if you get enough numbers on board the practice or way of that culture, it could eventually overrun that business. Now, this is critical and it's important. There is no sitting on the fence. If you will not create culture, you will inadvertently create culture. How and why? Because wheresoever there are humans, there is culture. Absolutely. Everywhere there are humans, everywhere there are people, a collection of persons, there is culture. Isn't that why one of the most popular definitions of all times for culture is that culture is the way of life of the people? So the way of life of the people takes place wherever there are people. So that point is so important that we shouldn't take it for granted that whether you, entrepreneur, you, company leader, you, board members, are deliberate about creating a healthy culture for that business or not, there is a culture running your company. And for people who are on the side of service provision like me, I can help you know what culture runs the organization. Because we do what we call culture audit. Culture audit is the first step that we engage in with you, our clients, when we need to start you out on the journey of having a healthy corporate culture that has all of the benefits to the tune of 72% of team retention. There's a lot that activates team retention. It's not just a piece of empty work. And those things are entrenched in your cultural practices, behaviors on a consistent basis. Don't forget. So wherever humans are, there is culture. Let's move to the next point. The next fact that you should know as an entrepreneur about creating corporate culture and giving your business the opportunity to do better across board is some businesses think corporate culture should simply be implied. It should not be expressly defined. It should not be developed organically over time. But let me let you know that when you run your business in a way that corporate culture is simply implied, default, not deliberate, when you run your business in a way that corporate culture is simply implied and not expressly defined, what happens at the end of the day is that you will organically develop over time a cumulative of traits of the people of that company, and that will form the culture of the organization. So when I said in my previous point that whether you are deliberate or not, there is culture that is running your business, this next point just explains it better for you. So you need to know, as a matter of fact, that when you choose to be known care, like you don't care about being intentional with corporate culture, and you simply want it to be implied, you don't want it expressly defined, you're too busy for it, you're trying to make money, the people you are put in charge are not doing it well, whatsoever other reasons, or you're waiting till a certain time in the organization's life to do it. When you do that, this is what happens in the intangible realm of your business. You begin to organically, over a period of time, develop culminative. The word culminative for me stands out. It means that it is gathering traction. Culminative. When something is culminative, when it is cumulative, when it is cumulative, it means that over a period it gathers traction, like a pile, like a pile, like a pile, like a pile. And the heap goes to so much. Every time you hear of a pyramid is a cumulative action of putting things somewhere until it forms a height. And you all know that whenever something takes its time to be built, it makes an effect. Undoing it can be a whole lot. So if you do, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, decide that, as for me, our culture is implied. We don't want to expressly define it. Whether you are saying that directly or indirectly by not acceding to it, what you will do with your business eventually is that all of the persons who have come from their different homes, with different ways they were raised, the different offices they have worked before, your manager has worked in a place before, your accountant has worked in a place before, your HR has worked in a place before, and some people have been raised in certain backgrounds. The new person coming into work for the first time, the Gen Z team members that are coming into your team and working for the first time have been raised in certain ways from different. Everyone is coming with a multicultural face into the core of your organization, and you refuse to expressly define what you want in your ABC organization. You decide to imply it. What happens is, over a period of time interacting together from top to bottom, your company would have developed an organic, intangible, cumulative set of traits that draws from the people in that organization whom you hired. Now, the challenge of this is that you will have to struggle to align all of those with your vision. And a lot of the time, more often than not, it at variance, it is at variance with the vision. And it does not offer you the best goal-oriented benefit that your should be finally said. I truly hope that you are finding this very useful and that you are putting decisions as a point on your notes, because I learned and I believe that whenever you attend a session, whenever you listen to a video, whenever you go for a seminar, whenever you listen to audios, what makes the difference between you and the person who didn't see it are the decisions that you make. So I learned, for instance, I heard it from him for the first time, from Dr. Olumide Emmanuel for the first time, that trainings are supposed to teach you what to stop doing, what to start doing, what to keep doing. So as I'm taking this and delivering this, forgive me, delivering this speech this morning, you will find things that you should start doing in your team. You'll find things that you should stop doing, and then you find things that you should keep doing. If you're able to decentralize your learning into these three parts, and you're able to put the action points under each of those sections, then you should be looking for me to hand me a beautiful check anytime soon on account of the change wave, positive waves that will begin to happen in your business. That's so very important. And I also learned from Dr. David Oyedepo many years ago as a teenager. He said, great meetings don't make people, great decisions do. Great meetings don't make people, great decisions do. So it is not the entire amount of information that you're able to have that matters. No wonder people have come to the point where they say knowledge is not power, it is applied knowledge that is power. So if you learn this and you do nothing about it, then you have gained nothing. If anything, you have lost something. You have lost the time watching, you have lost the energy you invested in, and then you have lost the amount you spend on your data streaming. I do not want that for you. If you know what I said about me and our team, we're all about value addition. So when it's not adding value to you, we are paid. All right. So that was like a stopgap to help you get into this and take it seriously. Now let's resume. What is the next fact that you as an entrepreneur or an intending entrepreneur, no matter for how long you've been in business, this video is important to you. The next one is that healthy corporate culture should be clearly articulated and built on company values, vision, and mission. So we have other words showing up already. We had values show up a number of times. We had consistency show up at some point. We have the word cumulative, which is still telling us something about the consistency, frequency, or volume of the thing. And now we're seeing other words. And I bet you they are very important. We are seeing the words, I don't want to clean any of this. We're seeing the words vision. We're seeing the words mission. And the word values showing up yet again. Almost every sentence is placed with the word values. Values. Different expression for the same thing. So, strong corporate culture should be clearly articulated. It should be built on clear. The word clear jumps out at me. All right. Not implied. Okay. Not implied. Like the point we just discussed. It should be clear, clearly built, but it must be built on something. So corporate culture doesn't float. It's intangible, it doesn't float. It doesn't float. It sits on certain components, platforms. And one of it is the company values, which some people call core values. Now let me say a thing about core values. Core values aren't possibly the only set of values that any company has. It's just the top of the chart of the entire values. That's one that helps people know how to deliver their job. You see, I've used the word how again. So one thing that we do at RCB isn't just to mind your what, we mind your how. And we look at your why to help you take care of your how. And at the end of the day, if you take care of how very well, productivity and better delivery is at the end of the journey. Company visions, company mission, company vision. These are platforms. These are bedrocks where upon which corporate culture is built. Does your company have core values? Does your company have clearly stated vision? Does your company have clearly stated mission? It interests me when I go around organizations, whether for the first time I'm visiting or a place that I have need to go to once and again, maybe as a client or as a business person, whatever it could be, business premises generally, and give it to Nigerians. You will often find a number of well-organized companies having on the wall well-crested our mission, our vision, our core values. Beautiful. Honestly, if you ask me, that's a great place to start. And that's really, really heartwarming. But away from that, and moving on, what should you be doing with those items of essence, those statements of essence that you have on your wall or crested at your front office, there at your wherever you have them? It's so great to have them because it shows the average person coming into your organization the truth that you are an intentional organization and you do know your why. If you do not know your why, nobody deserves to follow you. That's so important. So your why shows the client that they can come along because you have a journey you are taking and you would like to go with them because it's going to be amazing for them. So do you have company vision, core values of your company, and mission statement? Do you have them? If you do, that's so good. So you have the basic elements that your corporate culture needs to be created, to be integrated into your processes, and to thrive. You have the core. You have the core. You have the core. Those are the major ingredients. That said, I would like to move to the next point. Now, on this next point, permit me to tell you that when healthy, corporate culture helps the company manage positivity, okay, when it is healthy, corporate culture helps your company to manage the positivity of generalized belief. So the general belief that your community, your stakeholders have about you. Today, businesses are not aloof and alone. And they are not only in the eyes of competition or regulatory bodies, they are much more in the eyes of communities. These communities may have nothing ever doing with practical buying, selling, or patronage, but they have influence on your business. They may not even be the immediate environment where your business is located. So, one community comes to mind quickly, and that is the natives of the net. They call them netizens. Okay, they have quality, direct impact on the way your business is perceived. And it's a non-negotiable for the businesses of the 21st century. So, corporate culture, when it is well served, entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders, managers, founders, board members, I need you to know that when corporate culture is well served and delivered, it helps your company to manage positively the generalized beliefs and behaviors, company-wide value system, management strategies, employee communications and relations, work environment and attitude. That's so massive. So corporate culture has direct bearing, direct impact, touches directly your reputation, as in the generalized set of beliefs that your communities have about you and the behavior of your company. It has direct impact on your company-wide value systems. It has direct bearing on the management strategies of your organization. It has direct bearing on your employee communications and relations. It has direct bearing on your work environment. And I like to give work environment an extension by saying your workplace atmosphere. How does it smell? How does it feel like? What's the aura? Corporate culture plays a critical role in all that. And lastly, on the attitude of the company and our persons. That's a very important fact to note, and it speaks to the importance of it. The next fact that every entrepreneur, to call it the way entrepreneur should know about corporate culture. The next will be that a lack of corporate culture or the presence of an unhealthy corporate culture is another way to lose your business, despite ticking other key tangible business success factors. When you get corporate culture wrong, I meant to say, that's another way, out of so many ways, to lose your business, in spite of having ticked so many other key tangible success factors in business. What are a few other success factors in business that we know? We talk about funding. We say cash flow is king. So there should be cash flow. We talk about sales. We talk about great financials. Like you look at your financials and you're excited. And you look about what other things? There's so many more. You have good standing regulatory bodies and all. If for any reason you get corporate culture wrong, it's a sure way to eventually lose that business with all of the other things you're gained. So it therefore means that it's important not just to ensure there's a culture, but to ensure, and not just important to ensure that it's a healthy culture, but it's also important to ensure that it does not go wrong. Yes. That leads me to the fact that culture can start on a healthy note and end on an unhealthy note. That's the next fact. And culture can start on an unhealthy note and end on a healthy note. It's just about the intentionality of those who are in custody of it. For instance, someone could see this video and notice that, oh, you had it really bad, rough, and tough as an organization. I want things to be better. And then you could go ahead and begin to practicalize and implement many of the things we're learning, or even say, oh, RCB, do you mind coming on board and let's have a full-fledged culture activation package. And they transit from where they are and become better. On the flip side is this company whose owners began well, making culture an item, driving it, but all of a sudden, on implementation, on integration, on sustenance, on monitoring, on supervision, on custody, on role modeling of culture, even rewards and sanctions around culture. When you neglect every or most of this, culture begins to suffer a nosedive. So when it suffers a nosedive, it could go from good to bad, from bad to worse. Because it's right on the backs of humans. What you allow in your organization is what you have unconsciously made culture. You allow it for regularly enough, and everybody thinks that's the way it should be done. If your organization has team members who are supposed to submit, let's look at reports, maybe weekly reports, maybe monthly reports, maybe quarterly reports, maybe yearly reports. And with one team member, you began to allow, for whatever reasons, maybe their family, maybe they have an issue that you can understand and you're trying to deal with them, which is not wrong, and you did not provide safeguards. And it seemed to every other person as if, oh, this is a precedent. When this person did this, this was how it was handled. And if you're weak around supervision and assessment, you will find out that everybody else who would naturally have wanted to relax around that job. Reports aren't things that a lot of people like to do. So I'm using that example deliberately. You will find out that before you do it, reports will not only lag, but they may soon stop coming. And you know the importance of having a culture where there's no reporting system, or there are no funnels that ensure that reports are delivered. How then do you take an assessment on an empirical basis of what is happening in your organization? So therefore, the point I'm making around this is, if you do not give adequate requisite attention to ensuring that culture remains steadily healthy, you could lose what you have gained. But you see, it is not a snap of the finger. Just as good culture does not get done overnight, it does not get undone overnight. So if you have people who are put as culture custodians or assessors, and if they are doing their job well, they are likely to notice when there seems to be a sneak in of a strange or wanted culture. And you can quickly do a big good, things right, reorientate, energize, and then you move on. When it is humans that are involved, humans will once in a while want to see if they could change the dynamics of how things are done. And sometimes not positive. So what do you do as a business owner or the people who hold it for you? It is to be on top of your game. On that note, we'll move to the next, and I'm gradually beginning to post home. Gradually beginning to post home. I have a whole lot of it. I'll see how much more I can deliver today. But let it be known to you that you can get every one of these and even more by catching up with some of our videos on YouTube. RCV, character, or mind your character with Blessed Visual Answer. Either of the two of them on YouTube will offer you a whole lot more. One other thing would I like to tell you is the fact that you can as well choose to do it deliberately by bringing our team on board to work with your team on activating healthy corporate culture. We'll take an assessment of you as an audit, we'll recommend, and then we'll put you through the modules in terms of consulting, ideas generation, and training. So every one of these goes with training coming with it, because there is a need for your team to know. A lot of people are doing things the way they do it because of what they don't know. There could be a knowledge gap somewhere. When we work with you, we can tell you what you need. And the biggest part of it is we can go ahead, and if you allow, or if you ask us to help you create a document. So we call it a any policy document that is culture ingrained. So you have a tool, but you have to keep two different documents, one culture document, the other policies. You can ingrain all of them because your policies will also fit your culture. So at the end of the day, you have that document, and it means that at that point you can be transgenerational in making your culture work. It can be a very good item for your HR when they are taking orientation or onboarding your new clients, your new talents. There's a whole lot for it to offer, from accounts department to operations to technical to ICT to marketing to social media to customer service to the CEO's office and to the very boardroom. There is a place for everyone to answer to culture. This is so important, and we are here to help you with that. Don't forget, all you need to do is leave a message on any of our social media platforms, whether on Facebook, whether on Instagram or YouTube, or simply call 081 061 20819. This is what we are going to do, and we know how to do it so well and so beautifully. All right, back into the main section we're looking at today, and that talks about critical facts. There are facts you can go ahead and substantiate them, and you can take them to the bank, believe you me. So these are critical facts that every entrepreneur should know about creating a healthy corporate culture. Why? Because it means a lot to your business. Some of the points I have mentioned already tell you exactly what you stand to gain or what you stand to lose from corporate culture, depending on what divide you choose to pitch your tent. What's the next thing I'd like you to know? This is so important. This is so important. I have mentioned this severally on social media, and it's so, I'm so excited to say it here again. When it comes to corporate culture creation, leaders must champion it. Leaders must be key role models. You know, when you have a drama or a movie being put together, I don't know a lot, I'm just going to say the bit that I know. I know there's cast and there's crew. So people get to earn what do you call them, slots to play one role or the other. And you have the main cast and then you have the supporting role takers. When it comes to corporate culture creation, particularly healthy, because some of the times the people who lead the pack when it comes to unhealthy and toxic corporate culture are the leaders and owners themselves. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to the future of your business? Why would you do today what your tomorrow will not thank you for? Don't you love it to have a centenary business? Are you in need for the shortfall? And you're leading people on thinking that they'll be with you for a long time. When you're taking steps that shows your followers, team members, employees, board members, and everybody that is with you as stakeholders, you're showing them signs that show I'm not sure this thing will last. It's always a culture thing when people can tell or smell or perceive that you're going to be in trouble. And don't forget, when it's also positive, it follows the same thing. Leaders should champion corporate culture, not just creation, internalization, and integration. And then that leads us to sustain. Leaders must be the top key role models. Leaders must take custody of culture. Leaders must do so, or culture will lack the weight that it requires to be sustained. For instance, let me let you know, when I take culture trainings in organizations, we are trying to activate that pattern for organization. I insist that top management team, possibly the visionary, be present. Why is that? It's because culture is very, very loud. It speaks without using words. And it has very direct impact on every single major operational content or component of your business, from person to processes. So anything that is going to affect, influence, or impact the business to that magnitude should have the first hand notice or collaboration of the owners. Even if there is a very, very culture inclined manager, midline manager who comes in at a point and wants to create the difference, it may fail in his hands if he does not have the backing and the weight of those that be. It will be a case of deflated passion or enthusiasm. So it's important for the owners to be the drivers, or at least let them give full support by what their body language and their verbal communication and commitment to those who run it. They should in no way show a dimension to anyone that suggests that the people doing culture for the organization are on their own. It fails on that note. So culture is huge on perception, is huge on impression, is huge on reputation. You cannot not put it aside. And this is important. This is important for us as leaders and business owners. Never entirely, this is my advice to you, still on this one, never entirely delegate corporate culture. Never entirely. This is your core leadership responsibility. Never entirely delegate it. Should you delegate, you must supervise. Should you delegate, you must evaluate. Should you delegate, you must monitor. Should you delegate, you must come up every now and then to lend your voice and your backing to it. By frequent reminders and communication, as you find short. So never entirely delegate your corporate culture, architecture. Never do an entire delegation. You must have a near direct impact to the tune of role modeling majorly and custody taking. This is your core leadership responsibility. The next point that every entrepreneur should know about creating healthy corporate culture is that corporate culture can be healthy or toxic. Yes, that goes without saying, because if you hear me talk about healthy, and what is it in human being? Does it have health? Who checked it? Yes, culture can be checked, can be audited, can be diagnosed, and can receive recommendations, can receive prescription. Yes, because it has to do with people directly. So the next point that I mentioned is that corporate culture can either be healthy or toxic. And it is exposed, it is very vulnerable to sneak-ins and adulteration. It must therefore be nurtured and sustained. It must therefore be nurtured and sustained. If you read up online, you find out that gone are the days where all HR people have to do the strong core rudiments of HR. HR today has a lot of leaning towards corporate culture, because this isn't just getting the templates and all of that. It is actually working with people, studying and understanding them, understanding how to take them on a journey that helps the company fulfill its very, very goals. Because culture is basically a set of shared values that show us how a company behaves, how a company responds, how it does it consistently, how traits get accumulated, and how it begins to create positive brain, if it's a positive adoption and negative response. There are lots of statistics that tell us that most of the time people leave companies because of toxic culture. much more than because they needed better payment, better remuneration. So every time we hear someone say they left an organization because of the boss that was going to take like out of them, that was a culture item. That was a culture item. And the challenge I have with what some people who think culture should be implied are doing to their business without knowing is that when these individuals who do not buy into the positive values of probably your to buy into, but or just have a, they do not buy into those values. The challenge they create for your business, for your company, is that they as individuals are creating the dirt or the mess, but the name of the company is here in the front. So someone has gone to, let me see, let me give an example. I have to be careful here. Let's say that and the stakes get higher with how big the company is. So someone on your team has got to do something towards something really bad, and it is going to be reported. That person's name, except their personal brand has grown over the years, may not be the item of the news report. It will be the name of the organization. The perception out there will be that of the organization. So this organization acts this way. The person will be, okay, let me give a very good example. There was this year, so many years ago, where there was this product called, um, is it Mama Pikin or something? There's this feeding syrup that children were taking those times. It used to be very popular. And at a point, the news went filtered into the society space that it was beginning to kill babies. And it was investigated by NAFDA. And eventually it was found to be true. And the company was shut down. Guess what? For all of the times when this was being reported, I don't remember directly hearing the names of those who may have been the dramatis personnel behind the entire thing. But guess what? We kept hearing the name and the address of the organization. So when you let individuals do anything they like and you don't help them understand what works in your organization and how you are journeying, then you are going to buy a negative name for your organization on the use of what individuals are doing out of their own excesses or deficits. That's so important. And I think that we should pay very good attention to it as a business owner. It can be healthy or toxic. It is very, very much exposed to sneakings and adulterations. So it must be nurtured and sustained. The next thing is some or all of these that I'm going to mention. So you're saying, how do I know that a culture is toxic? How do I know that a culture is unhealthy? This next fact will help you with that. Some or all of the following, and even more, when they happen on a consistent basis, don't forget the word consistent, there could be a sign that you have an unhealthy corporate culture ruling your business. Example, don't forget the clauses. They are unhealthy. They are not happenstances. They happen on a consistent basis in your organization. It could, the word is it could, until it has been run, I mean, the test has been run through it and you've audited and you're sure it is, you cannot pronounce it as positive or negative. Number one, telltale sign, flagrant disregard for central company interest. Flagrant disregard for central company interest. So when you see a situation where a majority of your team members do not care about what is central or core to your organization, watch it. And if they do that on a consistent basis, so it is not an error, it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a slip, it's consistent and it's flagrant. There is no remorse. There is no feeling of having gone wrong. The next one, instability in team retention. That is, you have high employee turnover rate, high attrition. Instability in team retention, that is, you have high employee turnover rate or you have high attrition rate. The next, heavy office politics. Heavy office politics. Heavy office politics. The thing about office politics, people say that wheresoever there are human beings, there is politics. I agree. But heavy could be to such excess magnitude that it's beginning to impact negatively. I always tell people, if you must play office politics, play it right and play it healthy. The next one, still on the things you should look out for that give you a sign. It could be a number of these items. It could be all of these items. It could be even more, because this can never be an exhaustive list. Right? So, unsatisfied and disloyal customers. When it begins to generate into having unsatisfied and disloyal customers. Situations where your team members are collaborating with your customers to siphon or to defraud the organization. Where they will say, oh, let me add this money to you, then you give me back at the end of the day. All of those things are telltale signs of an unhealthy or toxic corporate culture. The next one is low employee experience. Employee experience is a big conversation in the 21st century workplace. It is everything that makes work and life meet. It is everything that takes into cognizance the fact that people stay longer at work today, and so it can't be only work they are at work to do. If that's part of your package as a business owner or a management team, there are things to cognizance the other parts of life of the people. That creates memories and creates experience. The same way you customer experience. Experience is good. So when it is low, watch it. Because employee experience makes loyalty strong. And when it is low, loyalty could be impaired. The next one is low productivity. Low productivity, the outputs are not justifying the financial inputs. You're losing money, you're losing clients, you're losing popularity. Your niche is continuously reducing. It's time to check. Inability to attract the right and top talents. Yes. When the news of the corporate culture fizzles into the atmosphere, one of the things that it does is it decides who wants to work with you. If you pay high and you have a poor culture, you're able to still attract some people, but maybe not the right people. And maybe not the people who want to stay. They just want to come, earn some of the people, and then leave you short after. That is not a stable way of running business, and a culture can be behind it. So this point is very, very voluminous, and that's because I decided to give a few telltale signs that can help you as a business owner begin to ask questions. When secrecy is the order of the day and there is an inordinate silence, there's what is called culture of silence. A culture of silence operates in an atmosphere, or it's an atmosphere where people are not free to say what they know. Even when the company owners come and say, if you see something, say something. In a culture of silence, people will still not talk because they know that it's at your own peril that you are talking. You are staking your reputation for talking, even if you are the most sincere person around. So when you have a system that practices secrecy, that is, a lot of things are being shrouded in secrecy. Nobody knows how promotion is done. Nobody knows how to rise to the top. Nobody knows how salary increment can be earned. Nobody knows why somebody gets extra. But when there are so many of those things, if there are telltale signs of healthy corporate culture, you will find these things around always. And then the other part talks about the culture of silence. The next one is when you have demotivated leaders. Having demotivated leaders on your team is very toxic. But you see, the toxicity is not the item, it is the result of them being demotivated. So let's handle what's demotivated. Sometimes a culture where a leader feels frustrated that they cannot make an impact, they are trying, they are pushing, but they have a top cadre management, possibly that does not value other people's views, other people's ideas, and a place where they feel that they are choking. When they are demotivated, it's a sign that something is going wrong with your corporate culture. The next one is when there is stunted or blurry career paths. When people come into your organization and they cannot see a clear path to the top. For instance, if you do not have an organogram, and your organogram should be a living document. It should be living document in that if you need to do a few reviews, not regularly, but as it might require, to begin to take to cognizance the changes that are happening in the work world, then it's a great one. When there is blurry or stunted career paths, it's a sign of an unhealthy corporate culture. And then when there's low team energy, of course, that will lead to low productivity. People don't feel excited coming to work. People don't feel excited meeting team members. And there is maybe even a lot of there's regular conflict. You're always resolving conflict and general toxicity in your environment. When there is frequent, or I mean incessant, ineffective communication, when communication is continuously ineffective, what you said versus what we hear, always different. And then we hear things like they versus we versus I, as against we, it's a proof that you have a culture that needs to be redeemed. It needs redemption. Because there is nobody who runs a company that can hit all of their goals with this kind of signs being the order of the day. If you have up to 5 of what I've mentioned, you better start calling us immediately. And if it happens regularly and you know it's a mainstay, you better start calling us immediately. 081 061 20819. Be certain that we will pick your call and then we'll jump in to quickly help you. Because if you spend so much in building your business, if there's so much of intangibles you have vested into the organization, why should you not manage intangibles well to a point where it's rubbishing the entire thing you have done? You deserve more as a business owner. So let's do it right. The next point that I would like to add is that corporate culture can affect employee hiring and retention, performance, productivity, business results, and company longevity. I will say more on the life of your, like the span of life, the lifetime of your organization is at the mercy of your corporate culture. So when you hear me say brand trust leading to success, stability, and sustainability, being RCV's pay offline, I'm saying that if you want to be here for long, you cannot toy with your corporate culture. You cannot toy with it to the extent and even more of many of the facts I have shared with you today. The performance, whether you are quoted, even if you are quoted on the stock exchange, it makes no difference possibly for you if you do not give corporate culture the kind of attention you should. In fact, it comes under the need for you to be up to speed with your corporate governance when you are a publicly quoted company. It puts a whole lot more demand and expectation on your shoulders. So start making it now before you get there. You tend to get that point. Because it's not a switch. If you already made for yourself a negative reputation, you are going to spend more. That's why Bose de Olushola Obasa, with the Mind Your Character project and the RCV team decided to come out and do this. This by no means should be for free, but it is because we love you and we want to add value to you. And we're helping you see, and whatever we're sharing with you now is just scratching the surface because there's so much to do with your processes and people to make corporate culture a great one. The next point I'd like to say is that corporate culture requires buy-ins. Buy-ins. You need to do what they call, some do, well, not lobbying now. We have to do a lot of communication that is well intentioned. When you want to activate a team, you launch a campaign. And when you launch a campaign, you make the campaign a win-win. You must talk about your culture importance to a point where every team member can see the benefits and they can see that it's a win for them individuals and as much as a win for them. So corporate culture will require a buy-in. So it is not what you come and you come out and fall. Boom. Like from today, everybody does this. Then you're still getting something wrong. You still don't understand the fact that it's supposed to be collaborative. And even though I've said that leaders should champion it, it is an everybody's thing. At the end of the day, it's called corporate culture. And the idea is that we all share it as a value, as humans for that organization. So you must buy in. Everywhere the need to buy in is essential. Persuasive communication becomes crucial. So HR people who will serve this as a support service to them should understand that one of the things we will be emphasizing is persuasive communication as against command words. And just mentioning what the book says. And we're going to help you see the power of repetition because repetition is what makes it stick even after buy-ins have been achieved. That's so important. So, and when it comes to communication, the next point is when it comes to effectively communicating corporate culture, there is never an end to it. It is a continuum. It has to be frequent, it has to be creative, it has to be repetitive to make it stick. When it comes to corporate culture persuasive communication, you need to know that it has to be frequent, that is regular, it has to be creative, it has to create innovations and make it exciting, make it something that is carrying everybody along, and then it also has to be repetitive. You look for various interesting ways to repeat it, it reverberates across every corner, every angle, every part of your operations as a business. Because it needs to be internalized by your people and it needs to be integrated into your processes. Corporate culture needs to be internalized by the people of your business and integrated into your business processes. On the part of people, internalize. On the part of your processes, integrate. That is a process that we can help you with if only you will call and say, we need you to help us. We will jump in and it's going to be a win. How much more can I still take? Okay, time is running. I guess I should just stop. All right, I'll take 2 points and I'm done. I'll take 2 points and I'm done. So 1 point out of the 2 last will be corporate culture is influenced by national culture. Yeah, this is important. When we're talking about creating corporate culture, even though it draws a lot from the values, the mission, the vision of the company, but that isn't all. There's a large extent to which national values, national culture influences your culture. And economic trends influence your culture creation. International trade laws or ethics influence your culture. The size of your company influence your culture. The product that you serve or services influence your culture. So it means that culture documents are not things that you can just carry from company ABC and paste on company DEF. You could find it not fit. It might not be fit. There could be shocks all over the place. You know the thing about culture shock? Yeah, there could be shock suffering on this side because you have not made it fit for the specific need of that organization. So, national cultures or traditions should form a part of your thinking. So, international labor law or your company labor laws should be handy when you are doing things around what culture should be. You should be within the bandwidth of law. That is, be on the right side of the law. The other thing is economic trends. For instance, I tell people that I believe when they say that there is a 10 naira version of every 1,000 naira dream. If your company can only afford 10,000, 10 naira, pardon me, versus a company that has enough to afford 1,000 to activate culture. Do you know that both of you can give your team members almost the same level of satisfaction and excitement? It's the creativity and innovation that you need into deploying your cultural activity that will make the difference. So culture is about being creative and innovative than being financially capable. It's not huge on finances to start with, and then it grows. And I mentioned international trade. I mentioned, so are you a company that has a global inclination? That should also determine part of the quality of culture that you deploy. That's so important. And finally, and that will be all I'm able to take in this session. Of course, you can ask us to also let you into our pay gate trainings that we'll be uploading on our website not long from now. We're working on that so that you can just pay a token, yes, a token, and then you can take these courses, signing up on our website. And if you need to get certificates, it will also be possible for you to download. We are working at that, on that, and we're excited to see that from just about anywhere in the world, you can get total value. So the very final one, and I love this a lot. Most of the people I've worked with know that I say this, and that's the fact that corporate culture is never static. It is living. So even when we create a document of culture for you, we tell you this is a living document, subject to reviews, because certain things that are culture 10 years ago in business are no longer culture today, or have changed form. They've mutated. There's another way to serve them. So imagine you keeping on to that. Okay? So this is so important. And it puts you on your feet. It puts your culture activators or champions on their feet. It puts you as a business owner on your feet. You're reviewing and you're checking what is the benefit you are getting and how better can it get. It's very important. It's very, very important to know that culture is never static, it is living. Living. Yes, Living. Oh, I'm so excited for what I've been able to do with you today. I'm as excited as I am. Don't forget where we started from. Don't forget what you need to take cognizance of. Do you have your works to start doing already? If you're a good student of do you have what to stop doing? Do you have what you keep doing? The truth is that I have given you all three, but I've shared them as almost 20 points of items, facts that every entrepreneur should know about corporate culture and building a business that works. Not just successful, but stable. Not just stable, but sustainable. Culture has a major role to play in it. Every one of your stakeholders will begin to take note of the fact that something positively different is happening in this organization. But don't forget, we can help hold your hands. You can pick our brains. You can be a sounding board. On training and consulting, you will have to call 081 061 20819, or you can email to rcb.carter@gmail.com, or just leave a message on any of our social media platforms, ranging from Facebook to Instagram and then to YouTube. So you have a number of options. It's either you're reaching me as a person on my personal account, also to Officer, Facebook and Instagram, or you are doing something with us on our show and advocacy platform, which is Mind Your Character with Boss Education Officer, where we do the talk show, very value adding every Friday at 5 p.m. Or you are coming to the powerhouse itself, the company RCB, on and using the handle RCB Character. You will see it popping, and they will be so excited to welcome you aboard. Thank you so very much. And today I've had a gentleman walking by the seat with me. His name is Jeremiah Otubi. Big ups to you, Jeremiah Otubi. Thank you so much for using your Saturday to be attending something or something. So thank you everyone. My name is Bosade Olushola Abaza, and you know by now that I love to add value to you. I've been waiting to pick your to get talking with you on how we progress. It's been a beautiful Saturday, and I have to run now. Any questions? Jerry, do you have questions over there? Okay, do you have any comments that you think I should highlight? No, really. Thank you. All right, thank you so much, everyone. If you're catching up with this later, it's still okay to leave us a comment, and then we will respond. One of our value or our culture at RCB is responsiveness. And we believe in it being swift and prompt. Bye for now. Good. Thank you. So, on TV, like just on TV. We have to be